Other interesting cultural news, you have Jaguar sales collapsing by 98%. Now, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. And she says, quote, Jaguar sales collapsed by 98%. Turns out this wasn't the greatest rebrand. And, well, we rewatch it again. It's the Bud Light of the automotive industry in terms of advertising. The extremely modern. This is going to take Jaguar into the new era. It starts out with a gal with a fro with a 90-degree angle, just chopped out as if she used a chainsaw to carve her hair. But granted, I don't have much ground to stand on when it comes to having a bare hair day. I know. It says create exuberant. And a Smurf-looking gal. It says live vivid. Delete ordinary. Which is hilarious because they said it's so unique. Some of this actually parallels an Apple advertisement from a couple decades ago. They have what do you call the guys who have no gender? Ishi looking, I forget what they got lots of flags, lots of terms. But it's a guy who looks very androgynous, that's the word I was looking for, dressed in a dress with a shoulder, looks like the shoulder pads of a suit as a collar and wearing a sledgehammer, which I'm actually surprised given the lack of muscle mass that his individual can actually lift up a sledgehammer, though again, it might be a prop, merely foam, then painted. It might be Hollywooded up. It says break molds, might be the most cliche thing that, well, I would argue this is just a standard fashion show these days. And they sit on a rock. They sit on a rock in the middle of nowhere. It says copy nothing. Jaguar. I guess they're unified in the fact that none of them look strong enough to do a single push-up. And that went pretty viral. That campaign was roasted viscerally. Jaguar said, we're going to go all in on the EVs. And, yeah. Jaguar in general, their sales are already declining. Not as bad as something like, well, geez, like Infinity from Nissan. That's doing even worse. But, yeah, Jaguar thought it'd be a good idea to go after a new market as they struggle to have any customers at all, as they have one of the most unreliable vehicles on the planet. And then they thought, we'll go all in on the EV. Going for a very niche market. Turned out not so great. Their sales are so low. They actually discontinued. They didn't make any cars this year, or in the past 9 months. They basically took a hiatus, which no company has done, as far as I know, in automotive history without going bankrupt, as they try to retool and reimagine for the new Jaguar, which, again, I would argue Jaguar, well, obviously the best ones, I mean, the E-Type was one of the most beautiful cars in history ever made. I'd argue Jaguar is, supposed to be better than, you're supposed to be, British engineering. Maybe comes with caviar and martini. I'm kind of kidding with that, but I mean, when it comes to Jaguar, they made some cool sports cars throughout the years. But yeah, the EV concepts look terrible. And again, when it comes to having a luxury EV, there's a market for that. I think it's a lot smaller than the manufacturers suspect. But I don't see Jaguar competing in that area that they're trying to compete in. And it's also alienated a lot of the guys who have bought it because it's very effeminate. I mean, a lot of people are saying, all the pronouns and all this video, all that kind of stuff. So they're trying for a new market, but I don't think that market is sustainable or big enough to actually have Jaguar continue. Now, this also went pretty viral, got 3.8 million views, as well as 48,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Valentina Gomez, saying, quote, at least they got that part right. Nobody would ever want to copy them, getting 698 likes, which, yeah, no one would. Amuse says, quote, seriously, did they hire the Bud Light marketing gal, Alyssa Heiderchild? Which, that was the marketing gal so mentally vacuous, he decided to alienate the largest percentage of their current customers and go after a very niche market and lost them over $1 billion in sales, and they've never recovered. Yeah, the Bud Light effect, the Alyssa Heiderchild. Insult your customers, go after a new, very niche market. Yeah, it didn't turn out well for Anheuser-Busch InBev. It got 269 likes. Barefoot Pregnant says, quote, abandoning the roar for a whisper. No wonder no one's buying, getting 8 likes. Levercat VDTM says, quote, go woke, go broke, getting 66 likes. Their vehicles themselves also go broke. They are horribly unreliable. And I would argue in terms of, there's usually a trade-off. Some very sporty cars are not as reliable, but it's kind of a trade-off because there's more horsepower, more wear and tear. There's going to be more maintenance, less. It's not going to be the Toyota Corolla, the best-selling car in history. You're going for the experience. That is, especially with older cars in the 90s, 2000s eras. There's some areas where, yeah, it's a trade-off, but Jaguar, when it comes to the trade-off of being unreliable and fun, the trade-off is just way too unreliable, not enough fun, especially I would argue for most Jaguars past couple of decades. Paul Zupa says, quote, wokeness doesn't sell, getting 47 likes, going up like a stock before our eyes. Ian Miles Chung says, quote, Jaguar hasn't made or released anything this year, so they haven't sold anything. The inventory is empty. All of last year's models were already shipped from inventory last year's. Now, again, that is a good contrarian statement. Because again, they took that hiatus, but again, the dealerships had a fair amount of allocation. They were still selling. So that could be a variable, but again, 98% decrease, that is pretty big. Going down more and more. You have Mike's quote, basically, your gay if you own a Jaguar, that's what I've grasped. Getting 2.5 thousand likes. You also have C saying, quote, you're telling me that the demographic of 65-year-old straight white men don't want this? Getting 2.5 thousand likes, which, again, I'm not saying that was predominantly their old demographic, but it was like a very contributing member of the demographic that would currently or previously buy their vehicles. Sports Duh says Jag Bud Lighted itself. There's a picture of the Bud Light logo with the Jaguar on top, getting 103 likes. The Joe says no chance I'm buying a Jaguar after this trash, getting 227 likes. Which again, well, even the modern ones I wasn't a fan of because again they had gas options and a coupe sports car, but geez Louise, I think it started at about 80,000, goes up 120,000. You don't even have a third pedal; it's all automatic. It looks okay, but it's not compelling or unique enough of an experience for most people to actually want a justification to buy it, I would argue. Going down more and more. My own Winters simply has a screenshot. It says, it's been photoshopped, so it says sell nothing, getting 156 likes. But again, Jaguar is also pivoting to go all in on the EVs. Again, I don't think it's sustainable as a business model. I don't think they'll make enough money off EVs. I suspect they'll have one really bad year of EV sales attempts, and then they'll fall back on their previous, more successful cars. But I don't know if they'll get sold again or then, another bailout. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. And lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.